Today's pick is a parlay. We'll start with the undercard on the zone on FanDuel at plus 114. Will this fight go the distance? I say yes. This is the fight between Jaleel Major Hackett and Pete Dobson. Again, that's plus 114 on FanDuel. And I'm pairing that up with, in the main event, Jaron Boots Ennis to win over David Avanesian in rounds 4 through 6, which is currently at plus 200. That number is actually better than it was this morning at plus 175. When you take them currently as they are at plus 114 and plus 200, that should get you to plus 542. I'm giving you this pick right from the beginning, and then I'll give you my explanation afterwards, but I'm doing this as a favor to you guys because I know some of you guys are looking for a pick right up front and just need to put it in. All I ask is that you like and subscribe, let the video play so that I get some playtime on this for YouTube, and just stick with me throughout whenever we end up having more picks. But to go into these picks and why I think they will end up the way they are, let me start off with Jaron Boots Ennis and David Avanesian. The thing we need to understand is that both of these guys are fighting at welterweight. Jaron Boots Ennis has been a welterweight basically his entire career, and David Avanesian, while he started at a lower weight, has been fighting at welterweight for basically 10 years. So they've settled into this weight. Ennis will probably move up at some point, but for right now, we shouldn't be worried about one guy, as a smaller guy coming up or anything like that. It's more just a matter of who they are as fighters. And who Boots Ennis is probably a future pound-for-pound fighter. He ends most of his fights. He's ended 21 fights early and has only had one decision in the past 7 years. He's also, you have to keep in mind, not just in the ring with David Avanesian, he's in the ring with the ghost of Terence Crawford. He's chasing that fight, and he wants to look better than Terence Crawford. And Crawford fought Avanesian and dropped him and ended the fight with a hook to the temple, I believe, in the 6th round. So what I would think is that Boots is trying to come out of this fight with a more impressive victory than Crawford, and the best marker would be to say that he's going to end the fight earlier. So my only concern with this is that he might be trying to get that fight ended in rounds 1 through 3, and that might come through. But I think that Avanesian is a tough enough guy from what I've seen in his other fights that he's going to extend that fight at least into the rounds 4 through 6. I don't think this is going past the 6th round. I think if you really want a safe play, then you're talking about rounds 1 through 6, but that's more like even money. Now, there was another bet out there on Avanesian where it's a knockdown prop, which was saying that he would get knocked down two times or more. I don't see that happening. In the 4 fights that he's lost 2 of them by KO, one to Crawford, as we mentioned before, and the other one to Kavalauskas. And in both of those cases, what you ended up seeing is Avanesian would lay it all out on the table. He would fight hard, and when he got knocked down, he stayed down. There was nothing left for him to give. I think the same thing is going to happen to him tonight when he fights Boots Ennis. And then moving on to the undercard and why I chose this one to go the distance, you have a guy in Jaleel Major Hackett, who's 21 years old and has an 8-0 record with 7 KOs. But if you look a little bit deeper into that and you try and search for videos on him and everything like that, there's really not that much out there. That's to say that he hasn't really been tested. Now he's coming up against a guy who has a record of 16-1. He's 34 years old. But if you look a little bit deeper, he was 16-0 to start his career. Then he was out of the game for about 2 years and came back to fight Conor Benn in his next fight. And he took Conor Benn to the final bell. And Benn won a very decisive unanimous decision, but he was able to make Benn look less than what people thought he was. And I think if I'm looking for anything to happen here, I'm looking for Hackett to be tested in a way he hasn't been tested before. He looked like in the weigh-in that he was very confident, some might say overconfident in what he can bring to the table, and I think that Pete Dobson is going to test him like he's never seen. And in another note, if you've seen the short that I had earlier today, I put in a bet on Pete Dobson at plus 550 to win the fight. And like I do when I bet moneyline bets, I split it into 2 bets, and I explained that in the short. I'll make sure to link that here too. That plus 50, which was just a few hours ago, has moved down to plus 430. So there are a lot of people out there who are thinking that Pete Dobson might have the win on this one as well. That's a look at the bets that I put in. Good luck with your bets this evening.